I'm headed in.
Welcome aboard.
When the Fulbright Company released their genre-defining Gone Home in 2013, it felt like a breakthrough for storytelling in games. In an era of dark, emotional, and impactful stories, it emerged as a revolutionary, whose simplistic gameplay paved the way for its story to have a strong, heart-wrenching, and emotional impact on the player. The company's new project, Tacoma, takes the Gone Home format and amplifies it with higher ambition, but I ultimately felt it was too short to completely connect with the story and characters in a truly meaningful way. Tacoma takes place in the year 2088, a time in which space travel is common and artificial intelligence are commonplace, on Lunar Station Tacoma, a space station owned by a megacorporation called Venturis. You play as Amy Ferrier, tasked with retrieving the AI system titled Odin from the ship, which has since been abandoned. However, in the process of recovering the data, Amy has the ability to see certain events and interactions from the people who formerly inhabited the ship through augmented reality. It is through this process that you learn about these shipmates, and more importantly, why they are no longer on the ship. Gameplay, while slightly more complex, follows the peaceful formula of its genre. You must enter the ship's 3 main rings in order to collect the AI's data, returning to the zero-gravity hub between each area. As you let the ship transfer the data, you are free to explore the surrounding areas of the Tacoma, in which you will find the augmented reality recordings of the conversations and interactions within the recent days between the 6 shipmates. Each crew member is delineated by a certain color outline in the recordings, making it very easy to follow, and each of the ship's main areas contains at least one group recording with each of the characters, most of which also include characters breaking off into other rooms to talk to the ship's AI or have another individual moment. The game runs mostly smoothly, as I only ever experienced hiccups in the transitions between main areas and the hub level, and it allows you to rewind and replay each recording quickly and as often as you'd like. These group recordings are the primary vehicle for the game's narrative, as the story of the ship is portrayed through these intermittent interactions. They present the game's most compelling problems, as each character reacts to problems differently and offers unique insights into their own lives as well as the relationships between the crew. There are also numerous other details and recordings to uncover that further characterize the ship's crew. Each person has their own personal quarters that contains a personal recording from before the primary narrative of the story. When used effectively, these recordings are great characterization tools, but too often they felt unnecessary and unimpactful for the characters. The more effective method of characterization is the ability to read emails, texts, and other screens from each character's AR display within the recordings. These give more context to the characters' lives, and this further context allowed for the story to have more of an impact. As with Gone Home, the gameplay is an effective vehicle for the narrative because it steps out of its way. The narrative is an often emotional ride, especially in its smaller moments. Unfortunately, the overarching narrative lacked the final impact it needed to make Tacoma stand out from its peers. Over the course of the 4 or so hours of playtime, you get to learn what happened to the ship and the people aboard through the aforementioned recordings. When characters break off from the larger group setting, they show their more personal and unique sides, which are generally more intriguing storylines. They deal with the issues of not having seen their families, the issues and benefits of having romantic relationships within the ship, and various issues of morality they face in the wake of their problem. These were the times when I felt most connected to these characters because they were the most human. However, during the recordings that displayed how they dealt with the primary issue, the characters became less relatable and the story less strong. The real issue with the story comes with its length. Its attempt to develop 6 characters with unique backgrounds and personalities occurs in a much shorter time than necessary. I really enjoyed seeing the characters interact with one another and react to the problems presented. However, because there is so little time to see their development along the way, there's very little growth, which made the story feel relatively insignificant. What this means is that the characters often felt independent from the narrative. It never felt like everyone was working together to fix a problem, but instead most of the characters were just reacting to it. The problem presented felt interchangeable, which took away from the weight it was supposed to have on the story. This all culminates in a plot that is enjoyable from moment to moment, but ultimately unremarkable. Tacoma feels like it could benefit from being a much bigger game. There are enough characters and narrative arcs that could have allowed it to fully delve into these topics and further develop the characters. Unfortunately, what Tacoma presents is more of a peek into the lives of some people instead of a true understanding of their issues and relationships. While their interactions are enjoyable to watch and emotional, the narrative it presents felt replaceable, and the characters were too independent from the main problem to create a truly cohesive experience. While Tacoma has an interesting cast and enjoyable in-the-moment experiences, the game ultimately feels like it fell short of what it was trying to convey. Therefore, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I recommend it because it is a solid playthrough with interesting characters that I feel people should experience, but it didn't feel like it had the impact that it needed to beyond its playtime to warrant any kind of higher praise.